My name is
Ima Ehumadu, aka Lapista.
My name is DK, aka Mama Chinedu.
Keep watching Rapid TV.
You are watching Rapid TV.
Shout out to Rapid TV.
Hey, Rapid TV, carry go.
The biggest, the finest, the only Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Yes, keep watching.
Don't go nowhere. Don't touch that dial.
Keep watching Rapid TV.
This is me giving a rapid response to Rapid TV.
Your Excellency, it's great to get the opportunity to talk to you. You're looking very refreshed. As I said when I first saw you, you're looking 16.
Thank you.
How are you resettling into normal life, having spent 8 years as executive governor of Abia State?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for seeing me. This is, I think, the first time I'm talking to anybody since I left office. It's been okay. I didn't have any problem returning to normal life because I've always seen myself as a people's person. And so I drive my cars, I enter the shops when I want to, and do my chores. So I'm trying to pick up little bits and pieces of my research work as a teacher. I just returned from a speaking engagement in Australia where we were trying to promote investments in Nigeria. And I'm also prospecting some lectureship job within and outside the shores of Nigeria. So I've been quite busy, but it's okay. That big burden has been lifted off I can do my own thing at my time now.
It is more like a deviance from what seems to be the norm for most politicians, quote unquote. They leave office, they want to remain relevant. Here you are, you're returning back to teaching, looking at, more or less a normal citizen. What's the motivation for this?
Well, I think it's about mindset because the service at the level of governor is for an initial 4 years, and then if God blesses you, you do another 4 years. So it's a lesson for all public servants. You know that whatever has a beginning has an end. The office you occupy is ephemeral, is temporal. The thing that is sustainable is you and what you do and what you like to do afterwards. Basically, I'm a teacher fundamentally, and I'm a merchant of knowledge, if I may use that, and that is what excites me. And all the time, many people do not know that even as a governor, I was still teaching biochemistry. I used to drive to school, Abia State University, and teach. But most importantly, I was seriously involved in research. I was seriously involved in research. I have over 80 scientific publications.
Over 80?
Yes, scientific publications.
Wow. Well, let's take you down memory lane. The last 8 years of being the executive governor of Abia State. What was the experience like? I know there are a lot of stories that Abians and Nigerians alike do not know about your days in office. But personally, what was it like for you?
That job was a pressure cooker job, and for somebody like me who liked to put my all in whatever I do, it had exciting moments, trying moments. If you recall, my period, 2015 to 2023, we started with very low inflows because oil prices plummeted. Nigeria had just gone into recession at that time in 2015. In fact, our receivables from federal government were barely up to $1 billion. You'd be lucky to get 1.2, 1.3. And that was actually what encouraged the federal government to begin to give states what they call bailout at that time, because we could no longer make ends meet. And you know that you have to check all the boxes if you're a governor. You have to think about salary. You have to think about economic agenda. You have to think about propelling growth. You know, you have to think about what will make the people happy generally. And a good number of my people were involved in trade, were involved in small and light manufacturing. And so our preoccupation at that time was to see how we can make trade, facilitate trade and commerce, how we can add value to the shoe business, to the garment business in Abia, and all of that. And but one of the things I did, which is many people do not know, is that we were able to also engage in foreign scholarship. I have over 200 Abians overseas. In fact, as I went to Australia, I was happily welcomed by my students there, you know, and I was happy to acknowledge the milestones and the successes. And when I spoke to some officers of the Australian government, you know, they were also happy that some of my students are award winners. You know, some of them had graduated with first class and up at 5% of their class. And I'm so proud that we did it. I have students in India. I have a few of them in Canada. You know, so what would I have said today after leaving office that I couldn't give opportunity to those youths to go and express themselves? My period also experienced NSARS, experienced COVID. I was a victim of COVID, and then all of that. So put them together, it was a mixed bag, you know. But the challenges are what makes it exciting, you know. But I'm happy that I don't no longer wake up to ask myself, what do I need to do?
Well, under your administration, one of the things that was celebrated the most was the fact that Abia was probably the most peaceful state in the southeast, despite the Nnamdi Kanu drama and all. How were you able to manage this? Because it looked as if shortly after you left office, Abia all of a sudden came into the focal point of insecurity among states that have suffered a high rate of insecurity in in southeastern Nigeria. How were you able to manage the insecurity in the southeast in Abia to the point Abia became a reference point in terms of its peaceful nature and not always appearing in the news as one of those states that had been hit by quote unquote unknown gunmen?
Well, I first of all, I like to give God glory when we talk about security, because security is of the Lord. But we did a few things. One of them is, you know, my trajectory, what I do when I have an assignment, especially in public service, is to define my philosophy. You know, so for me, Nnamdi Kanu, first of all, was my citizen as the governor then. Right now, he is my kinsman and my brother. So what was he saying? His trajectory, you know, may not be completely right, but he had a point. He had a point in what he was saying. And then, so I said, we can't throw away the baby and the bathwater. You know, so I said to my youths, you know, our brother has a message, but we can go about it in a slightly different way. You know, and so I said I was ready to engage. So whatever the problem is, before you go out to the streets, let's talk about it. Because if you kill two people, you can't correct the person that was killed yesterday. You know, and then where, as it were, was the theater of the battle? My state, Southeast, the Igbos. You know, I remember what my mother told me, that whatever the problem, please, siblings should not fight in the kitchen. Because after the fight, you need food. By the time you would have broken the pot and the plates, you know. So we don't need this thing in our house. You know, so we kept engaging. So first strategy was engagement. Second strategy was to deepen intelligence. We had gatekeepers in every community that was coming to talk to us and all of that. Even when we launched our so-called Ibubago, I didn't make any press noise about it because it wasn't a war of brother against brother. At that time we had a common problem, which is to make sure we don't have conflicts with headsmen. That was the common enemy at that time. Gun-trotting headsmen. But for me to go and raise an army against brothers wasn't like what anybody would like to do. So I told my Ibubago people, your duty is to give information. Let me know what is happening in the bush. So all the palm wine tappers, all the hunters, I bought bicycles, I bought Android phones. Please take pictures. If you see sachets of pure water, if you see Indomie in the forest, meaning that somebody is now living there, let me get a picture. And then we process it through the local government to the state. We had a committee headed by the CP then. And then again, the third strategy was to create harmony and synergy between the service chiefs. That is what many people miss. Whenever the DSS cannot trust police, police can't trust army can't trust civil defense. You can't achieve anything. So you must create, so what I did was to create a little committee where I was sitting. I was supposed to be chairman as governor, but I now said the CPU chair as a lead agency. So we see everything together. So if there is a breach of peace somewhere, we see it. I see it in our WhatsApp group, and I begin to now. I'll say, Brigade Commander, where are you? Have you had this? DSS, what have you done? And all of that. I need results in 5 minutes. I remember one particular occasion, a car was snatched. And once I got the information, I escalated it on that platform. And within 35 minutes. Because once you tell the CP, he knows where the nipping points are. And because I'm son of the soil, I know the track roads. I say they are moving towards Umimo. And they're heading to Sisioma. And once they get into Sisioma, they're going to Omoma in Rivers State. So the channel between Abia and Omoma will be blocked. And all of that. So this is just a practical example of what synergy can do when people are working together. And when the glory comes, we share it. But when the hard work comes also, we work together. So to God be the glory, we were able to hold it down. And we were also very proactive. I remember the day they broke jail in Imo. So my first reaction was close all the borders between Abia and Imo because the criminals and felons were going to stream into the neighboring state. We were able to arrest. The naval officers at Uwelente arrested 15 people in the forest, already heading to Abia. So if we did not come up with the thinking that, so for me, it wasn't like just news, jailbreak in Imo. My thinking was, okay, how does it affect me? Since they are my neighbors, I said, okay, let me, begin to do this. So I give glory to God, and I thank Abians and the citizens for the cooperation they gave us, and I thank God that we were able to hand over a stable state.
Now, your administration focused a lot on investment and trade, and especially towards your second term in office. There was so much talk about enhancing the business activities in Aba, which, of course, your successor has also come and said he wants to turn Aba into an industrial hub. But was this also born out of the much talked about IkpeazuReveals master plan for Abia State? Because there have been conversations in certain circles that have suggested that you, being a visionary leader, you had come out with a master plan for Abia State. So what inspired first the thought of a master plan, and then what was the master plan set to address as far as Abia State is concerned?
Oh, thank you very much. You see, when you go overseas and you get into conversation with leaders across the world, our biggest down point, our biggest sore point, our biggest, how do I say it, where we score the lowest mark, talking about leaders in Africa is lack of vision and foresight. And I have come to, unfortunately and regrettably, admit that that is so. We are unable to do a plan that is beyond 4 years. I don't know why Africans are like that. So maybe because of fear of what happens after you leave office, there's no continuity. I don't know. That is why everybody is talking about road, bridges. These are things that anybody will do. But talking about long-term plan, talking about what will turn around the society, it has to be transgenerational. And you require courage to put that your vision and that your plan upon strange waters, because you must hand over to somebody. What he does with it is another thing altogether. So, and you can't continue to add bits and pieces of a jigsaw if you don't have a picture of whether you are building an elephant or you are building a horse. Because if you are building a horse and you see the picture, you know what the tail looks like. So if you pick up the bit for the tail, you know where to put it and all of that. So I said, unfortunately, Abia at that time had no long-term development plan. Abia had no industrial policy. Aba has no master plan. Umuahia has no complete master plan, or Abia doesn't have a master plan. So I said, okay, even as we are doing all the roads, all the hospitals, all the schools and all of that, but part of what I need to bequeath going forward is to encapsulate a master plan for Abia, a long-term development plan for Abia, based on the competencies and the strengths of our people, taking into cognizance what perhaps are their inherent weaknesses as a people. Geography, endowments, mineral endowments, potentials, and what have you. Who are our neighbors? What do they have that we don't have? So we now came up with the long-term, 30-year long-term development plan. It's in the Planning Commission in Abia, and part of the documents we handed over. Then we also came up with an industrial plan, which was done in collaboration with UNIDO. You know, so we were able to build a shoe factory, which is our response to the fact that these people have great prowess in shoemaking in Africa, and it has been recognized globally. We also were able to do a brand new garment factory, which also speaks to our prowess in making the best dresses in Nigeria and in Africa. So I said, post my office, leadership in Abia, people of Abia State should be able to engage at whatever platform and be able to say, we can do 5,000 pairs of shoes a day. Give us the contract to do. And quality consistent. We can do 10,000, 15,000 shirts, dresses a day, because we have a garment factory. In fact, by now, it wouldn't have been out of place for the garment factory in Abia to be quoting for the dresses for the Super Eagles and their jerseys for all our national teams and the Olympic teams, because these are things that can be produced in that place, you know. So beyond that, we also needed to speak to physical planning. So we engaged the UN Habitat, and I think we paid 600 million Naira counterpart funding to develop the Aba Master Plan.
60 million Naira?
No, 600 million. 600
million?
Yes, in collaboration with UN Habitat. You know, so that's about physical planning, because physical planning is as important as economic planning. Because I used to tell somebody, if you are driving any development in terms of the economy or whatever, it starts from geography. Singapore wouldn't have been the transshipment hub of the world today if they were not endowed geographically with a deep sea port. So what would have been a problem that, the sea is so deep at this point, rather became the selling point and what turned around the economy of Singapore. So when you do such a master plan, you'll be able to know and realize that Aba is 30 minutes away from Ikotebene, 30 minutes from Port Harcourt, 30 minutes from Umuahia, 40 minutes from Owerri. So Aba seems to be at the confluence of Southeast and South states. And that was what fell behind the thinking of those who started the Enyimba Economic City. Because we wanted to capture the economic interests and activity of the 9 states in Southeast and South.
Was that what also inspired the thought of Abia having an airport?
Yes, but I'd like to correct from the outset. We were thinking about a trade port.
Trade port?
Yes, because all we do in Nigeria is airport, and they don't seem viable. I wasn't thinking, Abia doesn't have money to sustain an airport if it is for the purposes of airplane will land and airplane will take off. So we were saying, we can bring a small area into the airport so that somebody can come to the airport to shop and sleep and wait and then connect the next flight to the next location as they do in Dubai. A small conference center, small hotel, whatever. So people can, there'll be life even after, And then, but at some point, we found out that we have 15 markets in Aba. At the point we were thinking about this trade port, we realized that the road to Area was bad. The road to Izuku Market was bad. The road to Ngwa Road Market was bad. So all our markets, we couldn't connect. And my vision, dovetailing from my desire to drive trade and commerce, was to interconnect all the markets. And I will tell you the relevance in a minute. So we decided to suspend the airport project. So today, when the people talk about money for airport or whatever, I think they are questioning my decision to change my mind. And I have right at that time as governor to say, I don't want this airport now. Because if you land at the airport, where are you going to? You can't go to Area. So I had to, agree with the status quo at that time for us to finish some of this road. I'm happy that today I finished Ezuku Road from that fund. I finished Fox Road from that fund. Ongwa Road is okay. Osusu Road is okay. So today you can connect Area through Osusu Road to Ezuku Market and connect Ezuku Market to Ongwa Road Market. So I succeeded in interconnecting all the markets, courtesy of that fund which we were supposed to, as it were, deploy for airport. And thank God we took that decision, because if we had gone ahead with that, 10 billion wouldn't have done an airport anyway. And that airport, I know about some airports right now that were commissioned that are yet to receive aeroplane. So why would I tie down 10 billion naira for nothing? So I assure you, no dime of that money was diverted.
So the allegation as put forward by your successor, Dr. Alex Oti, that the money was diverted into 32 accounts is not correct.
No. Far from it. We published the 32 contractors. In fact, they were not 32. They were about 20 something. Because the Ministry of Works got money from that. The Ministry of Public Utilities got money for street light from that. So it is wrong to say 32 contractors. But among the contractors, 20-something of them, some got as small as 30 million. Some got 12 million. What will you be diverting from 12 million and 30 million? And then in that publication, we gave date when the money was paid into the contractor's account. We gave the contractor's identity. We gave the roads that the contractor was supposed to do. So what I expect a discerning mind to do was to follow the trail. You can, it's not, nothing was paid cash. You follow the trail and see if a dime was diverted into somebody's account, apart from for the said purpose. But if you trail and see that the man was buying asphalt, he was buying sand, he was buying gravel, and you go to where the Fox Road is, and you see that Fox Road is standing, the matter speaks for itself. But the good thing, yes, is that, my brother, if they follow the trail of that 10 billion, they will acknowledge with their mouth that some job was done, contrary to the opinion that they have out there. It will be clear that Fox Road was done by this government from that fund. Esiku Road was done. Ojikelen was done. Milverton was done. Afi Ibeji Nobakala was done. And so many of them. So it's a question of following the agenda and acknowledging us for a good job.
So, right now, the report from KPNG has not indicted you. It only highlighted transactions that happened under your administration. But generally, how do you receive that report?
Well, I think I just saw it yesterday. I'm still studying it. And I gave it to some accountants. Incidentally, I'm using Nigerian accountants. I'm not going to use any because I know that Nigerian accountants are capable. And the first thing is that I've learned something. There's a clear distinction between a forensic. Nigerians love high-fluting, high-sounding grammar. When you hear forensic, they want to jump up. There was nothing forensic about it. Because a forensic report should be able to identify who stole what, how much did he steal,
and where that money went,
and where, who. That is what forensic is all about. Forensic is a scientific balance. It's investigation at the molecular level. It's not something you come and mouth out of propaganda. That was a process review they did, looking at the documentations. And the preamble of that report also said that they were handicapped. KPMG, if that is what they are called, were handicapped. They did not see. But the few they saw, they were able to acknowledge 64% compliance. So, which is a pass mark anyway. And I'm sure that with time, when questions are asked, all the documents will be provided. And I don't have anything to hide.
Now, going back to your vision in terms of investment and industrialization of Abia State, is that part of what led to you investing in the geometric power project? That project was all launched recently by your successor. And he made little or no mention of your administration's contribution to actualizing that project. Even though he went down a bit of memory lane, talking as to what part he played while he was in the private sector in that project. How do you feel, having been probably the brain behind that, part of the brains behind that project, not giving your due, both as a governor and as a citizen who has contributed to the development of your state?
Well, thank you very much. Once again, I thank God that I have been vindicated. And a lot of people have come to salute the strength of our vision. Our investment was signed off to be 5%, which is supposed to be $5 million. And I like to speak in that light. However, we were able to do the worth of about 3.5%. If the state government still wants to close the deal, they can pick up the rest 15% or 1.5%, and Abia will have 5% share. My thinking then was, I saw the vision behind that project. I saw that what will unlock the potential of my people is electricity, regular power. And apart from that investment, what we put in terms of hard work and industry, in terms of diplomatic economic shuttles, in terms of visits to Cairo several times, visits to South Africa several times, is far more than that amount of money. But suffice it to say that I feel encouraged. It's unfortunate, and it is the problem of those who don't want to acknowledge. But I feel satisfied as a person that I was part of that dream and that vision. And I take solace in the comments of the president of Afreximbank the day he handed over a check of $50 million to close the financial deal for Geometrics. And he said, please bring Governor IkpeazuReveals of Abia State to the podium. Because I was sitting right there in the room. And I didn't want to. And I came. He said, you have to come and stand beside us as we sign off on this. And he said to the audience, beautiful audience there in South Africa, and said, this man is weaving something. That there is something that I'm weaving. Promoting Enyimba economic city and promoting steady power. That he sees that in the next 30 years, unemployment in the southeast and indeed southern part of Nigeria will be a thing of the past. Because that place promises to provide 600,000 jobs. The Enyimba economic city. So if we have regular power and the Enyimba economic city is working, that he sees what I'm weaving. So that acknowledgement there in South Africa is superior to whatever acknowledgement anybody would give me here or wouldn't give me here. But I thank God that it has come to stay and the truth has come to the fore now. And the thinking is that Abia State, hosting that magnitude of investment, should have a place in the board of that company to be able to protect the interests of the people. Because provision of power is not only about how much profit one makes. There is some social service dimension to it. And if government sits in the board, whosoever will be the governor at that time, sits in the board, government will be able to represent the people and to say, tariffs are going high. Can you do this? Can you do this? Let us do it this way. And then speak on behalf of the people to the board. That was the thinking. And I thank God that, contrary to the wish of some people, that the truth wasn't hidden for a long time.
You left office. You left almost about 4 billion and several other monetary benefits that your successor has inherited. Can you shed some light on that? Because contrary to public knowledge, a lot of people assume that the Abia State coffers was empty on the exit of Governor Okezie.
Well, thank you very much. That is the beautiful outcome of this, the KPMG process review. At least they were able to acknowledge that we left almost 4 billion naira in the covers of Abia State government, and that was inherited. And I want to add that that money is enough to pay our 2 months salary, if nothing. Again, my government, I do not know about what happened in the previous administration, but I can beat my chest to say that no government has done better in terms of payment of counterpart funding than my government. There are about 4 classical sources of inflow for every state government. You have the taxes, and you have the FAC remittances from federation account. You can borrow, and then you can have grants or loans from outside Nigeria. So I'm speaking to the 4th one now. We paid counterpart funding for UBEC, talking about the education sector now. We paid 2013, 2014. You remember I came in 2015. Paid 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and I think up to 2020. So, what it means is that the 650 classroom blocks we built, the 4 model schools we built, all came from intentional investment in the education sector. Now, we also paid counterpart funding for RAMP, which I think by the time we left had a drawdown of about 50 million. When they finished $50 million US dollars, when they finished that tranche, then another one would come. That was supposed to do a total of 500 kilometers of rural road. I was set to do the flag off before I left office. We had also secured more than 200 million US dollars from African Development Bank to do Port Harcourt Road, to do stormwater management and erosion control and sanitation around the place they call Ndiegro in Aba, including Port Harcourt Road. So when you see action on Port Harcourt Road, that funding originally was supposed to come from the drawdown of nearly 200 million US dollars from African Development Bank. So all these were in place before we left office. And I think, whether anybody admits it or not, if you have 4 billion Naira, if you have an investment that is worth almost 80 billion Naira in geometrics, if you have 50 million US dollars in RAMP for 500 kilometers of rural road, if you have about 200 million US dollars to do stormwater management, to do sanitation, and to do 1 or 2 major roads in Aba, you cannot say that government left you with nothing. But these things are there and the facts are there to show. The documents are there.
Your Excellency, we want to thank you for your time with us. You have shed a whole lot of light. As I said when we started this conversation, there's a lot about your administration that hasn't been public knowledge until now. And we really appreciate that you could give us time to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.